very similar to what we've been doing so far with factoring. But it's going to be a little bit different. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. That was weird. I've never had to do that before. But you know these smart boards, how they treat me sometimes. Okay. So today we're doing 5-8. We're going to be factoring by grouping, which we've already been doing in a sense. So when do you factor by grouping? I'm telling you, you factor by grouping if you have 4 terms and there's not a GCF in all 4 terms. What does GCF mean? Greatest common factor. You're absolutely right. Okay, so if there's 4 terms, you're automatically going to see a polynomial. The first thing you're going to look at, is it quadratic? What makes it quadratic? If it's what? We just talked about it. If it's what? Degree 2. Good. If it's degree 2, if it's second degree, absolutely right. Okay, if it has 4 terms, it's not degree 2. If it has 4 terms, we're going to try factoring by grouping. So everybody look up here. Does everybody see how this has 4 terms? What's a term? Like, what makes it a term? It's separated by what? Plus or minus signs. Very good. So does everybody see how this has 4 terms? Now let's look at these 4 terms. Is there a greatest common factor in this term, this term, this term, and this term? Is there? No. So we can't factor out a greatest common factor, right? So this is when we would try factoring by grouping. Is everybody comfortable with when we're going to try factoring by grouping? Okay, awesome. Okay, so here are the steps to factoring by grouping, but we have already seen this. We've already been doing this the past 2 days. It's just in a different context here. So first, you're going to group the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms. What does that look similar to? Isn't that what we were doing the past 2 days? Yeah, awesome. So we actually, when we broke down our quadratics, guys, think about it. We have 4 terms, right? Yeah. We grouped the first 2 terms, we grouped the second 2 terms. It's the exact same thing today. Second, you'll factor out the GCF out of each group. And then third, you pull out your safe haven, right? So no different. That's why I'm like, oh, today's a great lesson for a Friday, because really we're just building the knowledge we already know on something new. And then you're done. All right, so we love our safe haven because then we can know for sure that we've done it correctly. So everybody, look at number 1 on the worksheet. We're going to go through it. You guys are going to help me walk through this, okay? So first things first, with factoring, the first thing we always look at, no matter what polynomial we're looking at, do we have something in common? Do we have a GCF in the beginning? Now remember, it has to be in every term. So look at this problem, guys. Look at problem number 1 on your worksheet. Is there something in common in all 4 terms here? No. So we're learning today, okay, that means we're going to try factoring by grouping. So what was my first step? What do? Put what? Parentheses around the what?
First 2 and then 2.
Absolutely correct. First 2, second 2. Do I put the sign with my parentheses? Absolutely. You're awesome. Okay, great. Now we're going to do what? You tell me. Same thing? Absolutely. And which piece are we focusing on? The first piece. So let's focus on this first piece. What's the greatest common factor in that piece?
3x.
Awesome. 3 and an x squared. So we pull out a 3x squared. Now remember, what you pull out is what you write on the outside. So now what are we technically doing to each term here? Mathematically, what are we doing? Dividing. Very good. Dividing by 3x squared. So when we say we pulled it out, what we technically did was divide it out. Okay, 12x cubed divided by 3x squared. 4x to the first power. Absolutely. And how did you know it's to the first power? By what mathematical thing here? Absolutely. Properties of exponents. We minus the top from the bottom. You're absolutely right. Okay, very good. All right, moving on to the next term. 3x squared divided by 3x squared. Is it 0? It's 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So 4x to the first plus 1. Questions on that piece? Okay. Let's look at this next piece here. What's my greatest thing in common? 5. In fact, it's a positive 5, right? Absolutely. We pull out positive 5. Now, mathematically, remember what we did was we technically divided out that positive 5 out of each term. What's 20x divided by 5? You're absolutely correct. Plus 1. I'm loving that you're saying plus 1, not 0. Are we safe? What's my safe haven?
4x plus 1.
4x plus 1, 4x plus 1. We can kind of go, phew, we've done this correctly. We know for sure that it's correct since those two are the same. So we factored out our 4x plus 1. Now the reason we can factor it out is because it's the same in each term. So then technically we divided it out of each term, right? So can I just go like this, divide out? Divide out?
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's write what was left back in our parentheses. 3x squared plus 5. You're absolutely correct. Do you have any questions? Okay, I'm going to have you try it all by yourself. Work together. Do number 2. Ready, set, go. Okay. Don't be intimidated by the recording. Austin, I told you.
Great.
Okay, talk through it loudly, please. Everybody should be looking at number 7, and let's see what interesting thing happens here.
Well, what I did with this one is I factored out.
Oh, sorry, it's on the highlighter. Sorry. Look with that pen. There.
Can I erase it? Or
I'll
just write over it.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so I did r squared, and then I put r squared through it, so it will be 7r plus 16.
Okay, I'm going to push pause right there. How many of you got that far? Raise your hand. Awesome. Okay, continue. Ely's doing great.
Okay, then I moved on to this one, and this is where I came to the problem, because I factored out -9. I got r plus 8, which wasn't the same.
Okay, I'm going to push pause. How many of you got that far? Raise your hand. Interesting. Now, did Elise do the math correctly, guys? Yeah, she did. Now, is there anything else we could have done here? Not really, right? So what the heck? This problem's kind of interesting. So our safe haven's not the same, right? So we can say, okay, we've done the math correct, so this must not be factorable. We've done the math correctly, it did not factor, right? So it must not be factorable. So you would say not factorable. Does that make sense? Because we couldn't do anything from here. Yeah, we've broken this apart, but now there's nothing in common more to pull out. So it's not factorable. Absolutely correct. There's nothing more we can do to factor this. So we would write non-factorable on this. Thank you, Elise. Absolutely. Does everybody see that? So there are, guys, interesting enough, there are polynomials that are not factorable. In fact, there are a lot that are not factorable. Now, a little bit later in this year, and even in secondary math 3 especially, we learned how to still go ahead and solve these. So like I said, we still haven't learned how to apply factoring. We will in starting next unit. But you'll understand why we learned to factor, and then if we couldn't factor, there's still a way to solve. So anyways, on this answer, right now, we're going to just write not factorable, because it's not. It is not factorable. I don't know where that little pen went. Oh, right there.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite. All right, guys, very good. So not factorable. Continue working. You guys are doing good. Does anybody have any questions on any of them? 1 through 8. We all doing okay? So continue working. You're doing great. What's going to be due is up to problem 16 on the front page. So I will be working on those ones. Thank you. Continue.